قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this new episode of Ask Zad. Our first question from the emails, as usual, is from Ahmed. He says a family did an online background check on a Muslim man in the UK because he wants to marry their daughter. It was to check if he had any criminal background. It was done by a non-Muslim service by looking at the person's emails, online records, if they had any criminal record, convictions, or any known violent past. Was this kufur as assisted by non-Muslim on a Muslim? The answer is no, this is not kufur, by no means, because the assistance of the disbelievers against the Muslims has a different of interpretation among the scholars. And the most authentic is when this assistance and giving them backup militarily and mentally and physically and all sorts of backing up is coming from a full-fledged hypocrite who hates Islam, wants the prevailing and the victory of non-Muslims over the Muslims, not on a specific group of Muslims, rather on the entire Muslim Ummah and Islam. This is something that nullifies Islam. As for your case, Ahmed, if this private investigator or this service is looking at what is available in the market, such as checking with the police records to see if there are any past convictions, criminal records, etc., this is totally permissible. But to spy on that individual or to track his movement or to monitor or to hack into his emails and messages, this is totally haram and it is spying. Saliha says, in my home, most of our curtains are like see-through, but not white, usually like a blue or natural color. So if I stand in front of it, people could most likely see a blurred image of me. As a woman, should I wear a hijab in front of these windows when moving into its view? I was told that because they don't know it's me, that it is fine. But I feel uncomfortable because it's not that blurred out. I am shocked by the lack of manhood and jealousy in a lot of such homeowners. I get a lot of similar questions from daughters, from sisters, from wives, complaining that the man of the house objects to putting curtains that will block people from seeing what's inside. Such specimens of male species do not qualify to be called as men, because manhood is displayed in actions, in feelings, in protection. And if a man, whether a father or a husband or a brother, lacks this feeling, he's not a real man. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, 3 will not enter paradise. Allah will not look at them. Allah will not purify them. And Allah Azza wa Jal would torment them severely on the Day of Judgment. The first one is ad-dayyuth. And the companion said, what is the meaning of dayyuth, O Prophet of Allah? He said, the man who does not care about what happens to his womenfolk, whether they go around with men, whether they come out not wearing hijab, whether they flirt with the opposite gender, whether men look at them. He doesn't care. It's okay. And unfortunately, lots of them westernized folks feel this way. He wouldn't have any problem if someone approaches him and says, "Can I have a dance with your wife?" He thinks that, whoa, I'm civil. Not knowing that he's not a real man. So, first of all, this has to be corrected. And such a specimen of an individual or a species of a male must be promoted to a man by telling him that this is haram, you should fear Allah Azza wa Jal, and you should be protective of your women folk by not allowing Tom, Dick, and Harry to gaze and look at them. Secondly, even if the image is blurred, people could see your body figure and they could tell whether you're a man or a woman. And this by itself is not allowed. So you have to do something about it, even if you put newspapers on the window behind these curtains, so it would block totally anyone from seeing what's behind it, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. The final question goes like this: is it permissible to eat or drink in a bathroom if we say Bismillah before going in? Suppose if a woman wants to take a bubble bath, can she sip on an ice cold drink while taking a bubble bath? If you look at the Quran and the Sunnah, you would not find a crystal clear evidence prohibiting that. However, the vast majority of scholars, say that this is immodest, inappropriate, and it defies pure, true human nature. Why? People go to the toilet to answer the call of nature. And in Islam, we're instructed to be as brief and quick as possible, because these toilets are places or are inhabited by the jinn and the devils. And that's why we say the dua, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubthi wal-khaba'ith, which has one of the translations, I seek refuge in you, Allah, from the male and female devils. So one should not go there and enjoy his time, like people have stacks of car magazines or novels, and they go there for half an hour or an hour enjoying their time and reading and drinking and feasting, and some people even smoke there. This is not appropriate. But would we go to the level of saying that it is haram? The answer is no, but it is inappropriate, and Allah knows best. Yunus from Germany. Yunus.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa
rahmatullah. Sheikh, when I started learning more and more about Islam, I got I cared more about prayer and the like. Yet at the beginning, I did, like some people call it, fatwa shopping. I just said, okay, music is okay. And I was feeling really bad for a long time, so I didn't. So I felt really bad until one time I made the decision, okay, I quit. And then afterwards, I found much sakina, much khushua. I was a very happy person, okay? And this went again on for a while until one incident. What happened was, Dad told me to go with him to the bank, okay? And at that time, I didn't have that much knowledge, okay? And he had a bag, and then he told me to carry it. I was thinking, this is a major sin. There may be contracts of riba and the like in there, okay? So I didn't want to carry it, yet I still did, because the day before, so he beat me with a stick, and I feared him. Yet still, I think I was thinking this was a major sin. Okay, I carried it till we were there. When we were there, he told me to carry it again. I refused, okay? And then he beat me up with a stick pretty hard. Okay, and since that incident, so he beat me up, okay, and then he cut off my internet connection. He made it very hard for me to learn about Islam, okay? So, and then I got many confusions. Is this okay? Is this not
Yunus, come on, akhi. What is your question?
5 seconds more.
What is the relation between music and going to the bank and beating you with a stick? What's the question, akhi?
Please, 5 seconds more, please.
Okay, I'm timing you.
So I cut off my internet connection, and then when I doubted things to be haram, most of the time I didn't do it, and I did many strange things. And since the time he beat me up, around the time I didn't find khushu', and I can't concentrate in prayer.
So what's your question?
Can you give me advice?
Over contracts of riba or music or being beaten up by your father?
I don't know what happened. Like,
what do you want me to advise you about? Which topic?
Since the time he beat me up and he cut off the internet connection, since that time, it was like 1.5 years ago, most of the time I didn't have khushu' or concentration in prayer.
Okay, first of all, akhi, when you ask a question, I would highly appreciate that you go straight to the point. If I need any details, I'm going to ask you about it. As you have seen, we've wasted so much time. You could have easily said that in 5 seconds. Sheikh, I fail to find khushu' in salat. What can I do? And I would answer you without any reason to mention what you have mentioned. Secondly, the khushu' comes from your knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jal. It comes from the amount of time you spend reading the Quran and understanding the tafsir. It comes from studying books of aqeedah, beautiful names of Allah, Allah's lordship and worship, tawheed, and in studying the biography of the Prophet's seerah alayhi salatu wasalam. And you don't need internet connection for all of this. You can do it through hard copy, you can do it through reading the Quran and the tafsir books available in your home. Thirdly, you have to communicate with your father. You live in Germany. If the German authorities know about your father, they're going to put him in jail. I'm not telling you to threaten him by this, but tell him that be a little bit more communicative. Let's talk. If you see that I'm doing something wrong, advise me, not by beating me up. Fourthly, you have to learn your religion. Jumping to conclusion and thinking that, I can't carry the bag. If my father says, charge my phone, I said, no, I can't charge his phone because he watches inappropriate images. So I will be collaborating, so I will not do this. If he says, bring me a glass of water, I said, if I bring him a glass of water, this means that he will remain alive and he will go tonight to my cousin's house or my in-law's house, and he will free mix with my cousins and who are non-mahram to him. What kind of ideology and thinking is this? When you come to take a decision and make a choice based on total ignorance and not weighing the pros and the cons. So this is a fault from your side. You deserve what you are getting because this is what you brought to yourself instead of asking whether this is permissible or not, whether learning your religion or not, and Allah knows best. Ammar from the UK.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Assalamu wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I just have a small question. Whenever I read Surah Haqqa or Surah Waqi'ah, these two surah, whenever I read them, I start crying. So because I just it feels because I feel little bit more connected to it. So is it permissible that whenever I lead the prayer, most of the times in the school or in the uni, can I personally choose to not read these prayers, read these surahs in the salah because of the fear of starting to cry or getting emotional during the recitation because the thoughts of riya then come. So can I personally choose to not read them? Jazakallah khair.
Wa jazak. Yes, of course. You can totally skip these surahs and read anything that would not expose you or bring thoughts of riya or praise of people, because this is one of the steps of shaitan. Alhamdulillah, there are 112 other surahs that you can read without any problem. Fuad from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaykum salam wa barakatuh.
How are you, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah.
So, Sheikh, my question is the stepdaughter's husband non-mahram for women? Barakallahu fi hayati.
What do you mean by a stepdaughter's husband? Yani, is this daughter a real daughter of the woman or not? Fuad,
Yes, Sheikh?
is that daughter who's married, is she any related to the woman you're asking about being mahram to?
Yes, Sheikh.
Or she's only married to her father?
No, Sheikh. She is related to the women.
How? Fuad,
Yes. No, Sheikh. Actually, I also, Sheikh, she is related to the husband of the woman.
okay, so she is not related. This man has a daughter from a separate wife. Then he married a second woman. Now, this girl is her stepdaughter, and the woman is her stepmom, but they're not related by blood or by kinship, none whatsoever. So when this girl marries a man, this woman is totally non-mahram. She's not related to this man. So she cannot mix with him, she cannot meet with him. If she's divorced in the future, the man can marry her without any problem, and Allah knows best. A man from India. Aman. Muhammad from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Shaykh.
Alaykum salam wa barakatuh.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep you strong in this age and grant you everything that you desire in this dunya and akhirah.
And you as well, my friend.
Shaykh, by circumstances, after work in the Friday prayer, I attend the Masjid, and later I realized that unfortunately on the wall they have written, "Do not say Amin out loud." And the Imam of the khutbah doesn't start the khutbah with customary introduction of the khutbah, and he admits that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Adir and Nadir and etc. So after realizing this, should I just move out of the masjid or should I just pray? Jazakallah khair.
Oh, Jazak. If you discovered that the Imam has committed an act of shirk or kufur, then you cannot continue to stay there. You have to leave and look for another masjid to pray with. The writing that do not say Ameen, only ignorant imbeciles do this. So fanatic Hanafis may do this, but they are a shame to the Hanafi school of thought, the beautiful, huge, great Hanafi school of thought with its great scholars. Such imbeciles are not attributed to this school. So anyone who writes this is an ignorant imbecile, as if he's saying that the hadith where the Prophet himself used to say Ameen out loud, and the second row behind him, not the first, the second row would hear that as if they're saying that the Prophet is wrong. And if they do dare say such a thing, they're out of the fold of Islam without any doubt. And if the Imam did not start the khutbah in the normal traditional way, I don't know what you're referring to. What he has to say as part of the khutbah is praising Allah, alhamdulillah, and the shahada, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu rasuluh, and reciting one ayah. This is the bare minimum. If he doesn't do this at all, doesn't praise Allah, doesn't offer salutation of the Prophet ﷺ, this is, to a lot of the scholars of the schools of thought, invalidates his khutbah. Thirdly, if he says that the Prophet ﷺ is Hadir Nadir, and he controls the universe, and he oversees what's happening in this world, this is kufr. This is blasphemy. So you can't pray behind such people, and Allah knows best. Yusuf from Ghana.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Please, how are you doing?
Alhamdulillah. How can I help you?
MashaAllah. Please, I don't argue about something if somebody make a correction about my prayers until I have a clear evidence which backing my argument before. So I want to know if two men are praying and one is leading as imam, what is the standing position of these two people?
They should stand shoulder to shoulder. Whenever two men are praying alone, they have to stand shoulder to shoulder. The imam should not be a little bit ahead of the follower. They should stand side by side, and Allah knows best. Muhammad from the US.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
Before sleeping, I cup my hands together and blow into them and recite the last 3 calls, then wipe it all over my body for 3 sets, just as the Prophet ﷺ used to do during the night. What I wanted to ask you was, how many times are we supposed to say the ista'ada and the basmala? For example, after cupping my hands together and blowing into them, is it correct to say in the first set, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق
I got your question. I got your question, Muhammad. First of all, saying أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم is a sunnah. If you skip it, there is no problem. It has no impact. If you want to say it, you only say it once in the 9 times you recite these surahs. So set of 3, set of 3, set of 3. You only say it in the very beginning, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, that's it. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is highly recommended to be recited 9 times, once before each surah. But if you again skip it, this has no impact, and your action is valid, your recitation is valid, but it's best to recite al-Basmalah 9 times. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم only once. This is recommended. If you skip it, there's no problem, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah we'll be right back.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to talk about the book Interactions of the Greatest Leader. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered that they be respected and appreciated. An example of that is when he sallallahu alaihi wasallam prohibited feeding them food that others would not like to eat. Aisha radiyallahu anha, may Allah be pleased with her, reported that the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given a dab, a large type of lizard, as a gift, but he did not eat it. So Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, said, O Messenger of Allah, should I not feed it to the poor? The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam responded, do not feed them what yourself do not eat. That is a direct application of the saying of Allah, which means, O you who believed, spend from the good things which you have earned and from that which we have produced for you from the earth, and do not aim toward the defective therefrom, spending from that while you would not take it yourself, except with closed eyes, and know that Allah is free of need and praiseworthy. Reported by Ahmad, Al-Albani ruled it sound, Hasan, in his book As-Sahiha.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back. We have Ahmed from India.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Sheikh.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
I hope you are fine.
الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Sheikh, from past 2-3 months, I am in great dilemma because I think I am a kafir because of the whispers. I think because there are some traditional methods of curing diseases told by our Prophet ﷺ, like disease like pneumonia and others. But if I believe that there were methods told by a Prophet centuries ago, and if I say that and some methods are not applicable nowadays in many regions, and if I believe that all methods should be backed by doctors and some medical researches which are told by our Prophet, am I committing kufr?
No, you're not committing kufur unless you are opposing the Prophet ﷺ and rejecting what he has said. Sometimes the Prophet would direct us to use honey, and this is mentioned in the Quran. If someone says, no, honey is not good, honey is not a medicine, honey cannot be consumed or used as medicine at all, and he acknowledges that this is found in the Quran and in the authentic Sunnah, this is a pure kafir. Yeah, there's no doubt in that. He's rejecting something known from religion by default. But if he says that honey is not valid for all illnesses, yes, it's good for many illnesses, but there are some certain illnesses that we cannot use honey for that. This is totally fine and legit. So it all depends on your conviction. If you're rejecting the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ as if he does not know, or as if it's inapplicable, or as if it's unscientific, then there is a problem with your iman. But if you acknowledge the hadith and its authenticity and that it works in most cases, but there are cases that it may not work with, or we may not know the ingredients and the dosages it should be consumed through, then there is nothing wrong in that, and Allah knows best. Muhammad from Canada.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, my question is a bit different. So I have a cat in my house, and it has tapeworm coming out of its backside. So, and sometimes I take the cat on my lap and I pet it, but I'm afraid if the tapeworm get on my clothes or my hand, is it najis?
What is?
Tapeworm.
What's that?
It's like worm coming out of cat's backside.
A'udhu billah. And you see these worms and you still keep the cat with you?
I'm gonna treat the cat with medicine soon.
And meanwhile, you see worms flying around and crawling all over the place, and it's okay.
No, it's not all over the place. It's only on the cat's backside, and then I clean it like immediately as I see it.
If these worms are coming out of the anus of the cat, this is najis without any doubt. So you have to purify it if you see it on your clothes. And this is not hygienic at all. This is not healthy, man. So many people died because of their cats, either through infection or through respiratory illnesses. So you better take a look at that. May Allah make it easy for both of us. Khan from India.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh.
Alaykum assalam wa barakatuh.
So a person runs a bakala and
A
I
grocery
give him
shop.
10,000 riyals. Yeah. And I give him 10,000 riyals to invest, and he gives me money monthly. Since taking fixed amount of money monthly is not permissible, but there is no way to calculate monthly profit in such small shops because there is no monthly calculation and the money just comes in and goes out. So he says he will give me near about 800 to 900 riyal monthly. It is not 100% fixed, but it will be in the range of 800 to 900. And also when I want to stop this partnership, I inform him 1 month in advance, and he will return my original 10,000 riyal to me. Is this fine? If not, then how it should be done?
This is totally prohibited, Khan. You see, an investment is when you inject money in an institution and you are prone to profit and loss. There is a sharing. The moment the capital, which is the 10,000 riyals, is guaranteed to come back to you, this is riba. Why? Because this is not an investment, this is a loan. I'm giving the shopkeeper a 10,000 riyal loan and he gives me interest, riba. 800, 900, whether it's fixed or not, regardless. Whenever I want to bail out, he gives me back my capital, which is the original loan. This is riba, totally. The only way to have this valid is to evaluate the grocery shop. So we come to the grocery shop. How much does it cost as we stand today? What is the market value? People of expertise come and say, this costs 100,000. So I'm injecting 10,000. This is the ratio, 1 to 10. This is my percentage. And he has to calculate the profit and do his book work every 3 months or 6 months and give you the profit as a percentage, meaning you agree with him that you'll take 50% of the profit, or 30%, or 10%, or 1%, depending on what you agree upon. This is the percentage of the profit calculated. You say, he doesn't calculate it. Don't go into business with him. This is not permissible to go in such ambiguity. He has to do his homework and calculate the percentage, to calculate the profit on monthly basis or quarterly basis, and then give you a percentage that you agree beforehand. If the shop was burnt to the ground, you lose your 10,000, he loses his 100,000. So you lost the whole thing. You can't ask him for any compensation because there was no mistake on his part. So this is the only way of investing. Now, if you agree to invest for 2-3 years, and at the end of the 3 years, the contract is over, there's no problem. Reevaluate the value of the grocery shop. If they say now it's 200,000, then you take 20. If they say that we've depreciated it and it's 50,000, you take 5,000, and Allah knows best. Abrar from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, can I say good luck or best of luck to my friends and family, or will it exclude me from among the 70,000 Muslims? And which is the best alternative Islamically? Jazakallah khair.
You want to make dua for them, the best of luck, or asking them to wish you good luck?
No, I just, for example, as a greeting, and they have like exams or something, and I say to my friend like, best of luck.
No problem in that, inshallah. There is no problem in saying that. Sujian from India.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
So I'm working as a podcast manager where my job is to reply to emails of guests on the podcast and also invite founders and CEOs as guests to the podcast. And sometimes these guests are women who don't cover their hair and themselves, and then these podcasts are recorded as videos. So am I sinful for inviting or replying to these women to appear on the podcast? And is my income haram? Jazakallah khairan.
Wa jazakum. In Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, in the second ayah of the surah, Allah says, and collaborate upon righteousness and virtue, and do not collaborate upon vice and evil. So when you invite on this podcast, which is videoed, women who do not abide by the hijab, what are you collaborating upon? Definitely vice and evil and sins. And hence, this is totally prohibited and not permissible, and Allah knows best. Hasib from Bangladesh. Hasib. Abdurrahman from the US.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
And I have much love for you, Sheikh. So like this is my 3rd years in Islam, and as I practice Islam, I'm getting more ascetic. So for me, I have 2 questions. So for me, as a person who wants to dress homeless, eat nasty food, take cold showers, not cover my nose when mild odorous smells come upon me, fast every other day, the fasting of Hajj do with at least some of his beautiful self, not playing games, not watching television. For the people maturity, not these things, and some of these things are sinful. Not listening to music, not satisfying myself with my sexual desire, like watching porn. Not marrying.
What's your question, Abdul Rahman? Go straight to the question.
Just the questions. I'm coming. Not marrying unless.
No. Don't give me a manifest, akhi. Just what is your question? I don't need examples.
Go on my asceticism.
Okay. Ahmed from the US.
Wait, can I ask my second question?
Ahmed?
Oh, sorry.
Salamtullah.
My question is, what is the best way to buy a car from a dealership?
Where?
In the US.
Okay, first of all, I don't know how they deal in the US because to my limited knowledge, they do not sell you a car directly without getting it financed through a bank. And this is a riba interest-based loan. It is prohibited. If there is a bank, if there is a car dealer that is willing to sell you this Escalade V for $150,000 cash, and if you're unable to pay it cash, they're willing to take $175,000 over the duration of 5 years, not a penny more, and no penalty for late fee penalty. So 175 is fixed. It cannot be increased. They're the one who's selling it to you because they trust you, they have guarantees, etc. But the price is fixed. There's no problem in that. Is there any who does such a thing? I have no idea. You have to look around, but I very much doubt it. The other way that is found there is to lease a car. And this is what most people do. They lease a car for 2-3 years, dump the car, and then lease another one. So they do not actually buy a car. Rather, they lease a car and pay a monthly payment without the intention to possess it or own it. And again, if this is a fixed amount that you pay every month and they take care of the maintenance like any rented car, there's no problem in that, inshallah, and Allah knows best. Abdul Rahman from India.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam.
Sheikh, I'm working in MNC. They are charging me from my salary for health insurance, but I can't avoid it, and I'm getting various benefit out of it. One of the benefit is that I can purchase medicines for $600 and I can claim from the company, but I just paid $100 alone. So my question is, can I purchase only for the $100 which I paid in order to utilize my money?
Abdul Rahman, this company is taking money from you forcefully?
This is a norm, Sheikh. If I reach a certain salary limit, they automatically take the...
Whether you like it or not?
I don't like it.
No, I mean, if you object and say, I don't want you to take money from me, they will not listen to you. They will still force it upon you.
It's kind of big shot companies. I couldn't ask, and I just replied to the help desk. They're saying like this is the norm, so I can't do anything.
If they force it upon you and you have no say in it, and they take it forcefully, you can enjoy the whole package and benefit even for more than $100. You can take the medication, the operation costs, and any other expenses because they are forcing it upon you and the sin is on them. Khadija from Morocco.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
So my question is it permissible for me to give answer to teachers' questions in class if male students are present? If it's a straightforward question, answer, and without beautifying my voice?
Originally, the best scenario and the Islamic scenario is to avoid any free mixed classes like this. But for those who live in the West and have no other option, and if the woman is totally covered and abiding by the hijab, segregating herself from male students and teachers, answering the question directly is no problem, because the voice of a woman is not a awra. They used to speak at the time of the Prophet ﷺ in the presence of male companions, and that would not be frowned at or looked down upon. So yes, the answer is no problem in answering, as long as it's straightforward without beautifying your voice, and Allah knows best. Musa from Azerbaijan.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamu wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, if you have a thin beard, while going over it in wudu, do you have to go over it in the opposite direction of hair growing to make the water reach the skin? Because I think that if you go in the direction of hair growing, then underneath the hair is being dry. Because after it gets wet, it blocks the water from reaching the skin.
As long as your beard is thin and the skin is visible, you don't have to do any of this. You just bring water and wash your face normally, and that would suffice. Alhan from India.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam.
Sheikh, my question is, there are a lot of people who are slandering Islam and Muslims on the internet. So I'm using the memes and stuff to defend Islam, because there is no one who is there defending Islam in these social platforms, and which is causing fitna to a lot of Muslims in those platforms. So is it possible to use memes and such kinds of stuff, and would I be rewarded for such
I don't know what these memes are about, Alhan.
These memes consist of cartoon characters and some kinds of photos of people, those kinds of things. Not those kinds of things that are exposing the aura, but it's just cartoon features of it.
No, I cannot decide, because if I understand correctly, you're making fun of them. So you're putting memes that make fun of them, or put cartoon that is ridiculing what they're saying. And this is not appropriate. This is not the right way to respond. If you're going to respond scientifically by showing them logic and by countering their argument, yes. But to make fun of them is a waste of time and would harden and make your heart black. So the best is avoid them. When dogs bark, you do not fall on your hands and knees to bark back. You just ignore and walk away. Sayyid from Singapore.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay. My question is, I made some vows I had a job application which I was waiting for. So I made some vows that if I get the job, I will fast for these many days, feed these many people. Then later on, I got to know that this is makruh in Islam. So now I've still not heard the result of my application. So can I make these vows void and still intend to do more good deeds like pray tahajjud and etc.?
Okay. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, in an authentic hadith, "Man nadhara an yuti'a Allah falyuti'hu." Whoever vows to obey Allah, fasting, offering tahajjud, giving charity, he must fulfill that. So if you made it a condition that if I win this job and I get appointed at this particular company, I will go for Umrah. You have to fulfill your vow. You cannot simply say, oops, I didn't know that it was makruh, so I'm gonna wave it off. No, you have to fulfill it, and Allah knows best. Medina from Germany.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
So am I allowed to talk about certain things that I did in the past, like for example, before I reverted to Islam, or like about other people's, like what other people did, and that also like includes sometimes like sins? I don't know.
If a person reverted to Islam and he wants to speak about things he used to do before accepting Islam, it seems that this is permissible if it will not tarnish his reputation. In the authentic hadith, the companions after Salat al-Fajr used to sit in the masjid and speak about things they used to do in pre-Islamic era, in Jahiliyyah. And these things were funny, and the Prophet would smile, alayhi salatu, such as worshipping a statue of dates as a god, and when they felt hungry, they ate it. So this is sinful, this is shirk, but it's funny. So if it's this type, yes. But if a person was doing some heinous stuff, like raping or prostitution or selling drugs, and he boasts about it, no, it should be concealed, and Allah knows best. Abdullah from Australia. Abdullah from down under. Ayan from the US.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Sheikh, I'm gonna tell you two scenarios. Can you tell me if they're kufr or shirk or not? In the first scenario in my class, and they were like doing some like musical performance. So I just went to the bathroom, but I could still like hear it a little bit. So I covered my ears for most of the time. But while I was doing this, I had a thought that like I could ask someone for a better spot, but I was like too afraid to. So I just stayed in the bathroom for the whole time. And the second scenario, in my class, they made us like analyze some like Christmas song. So they asked me what my favorite line was. I tried to choose the line that like wasn't that related to Christmas, and the line went like, "Love makes our problems diminish." So can you tell me if these are kufr or shirk or not?
None of those are kufr or shirk. The first one is okay. The second one is sinful. You should not have participated in this, but there is no kufr or shirk, none whatsoever. Abdurrahman, I think, from the US.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, my question for today is, I had a question regarding like the prayer room. You know how sometimes modern day they build houses and Muslims often add a prayer room. Is this a bid'ah or is this permissible?
Well, this is an issue of dispute. Utban ibn Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, because he used to live away from the masjid and it was difficult for him to commute there, he requested that the Prophet ﷺ come and pray in his house so that they would take this place as a musalla or a masjid. And the Prophet did this. And the Prophet also prohibited the Muslims from taking al-maharib in their homes. And the scholars explained that al-maharib are the plural of mihrab, and it's a place designated for prayer. So to combine between the two, it is not permissible to designate a room to be a prayer room when there are masjids around and where our people can go to the masjid. This is not from the sunnah. The sunnah is to pray wherever the prayer is due upon you, in any room, in any place, and on any piece of ground. And the hadith of Utban, may Allah be pleased with him, is that he wanted that place to be a masjid for his people and tribe because they lived far away from the haram of the Prophet ﷺ's masjid, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Abdul Mateen from India.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam.
Subcontinent, while they're making dua, while completing dua, they say, "Oh Allah, please accept our dua in the sadaqah of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam." Is this permissible to say like this? Jazakallahu khairan.
وَجَزَاكُمْ. No, this is not permissible. This is an innovation. It was never done by the Prophet himself, ﷺ, nor by the companions or the tabi'een or tabi'at tabi'een. So this is a clear innovation. The Prophet does not need your sadaqah or your forms of worship because everything we do is accredited to him because we learned it through him. So whenever we take a umrah, whenever we pray, whenever we make dua, whenever we give charity, it's all accredited to the Prophet ﷺ and he gets a portion equivalent to ours and Allah knows best. Abdul Rafi' from Pakistan. Abdul Rafi'. Najwa from the UK. Najwa.
Sheikh,
Yes.
Sheikh, I have a very important question. Can I ask, Sheikh?
That's what we're here for.
Okay, Sheikh. So, Sheikh, my concern is that, Sheikh, that I am on a break to lost my iman after watching people like Adam Seeker and ex-Muslim Sahil. I'm from India and I'm very much, they are playing with my iman and they are not popular nowadays in India. So, Sheikh, how can we tackle them?
I don't know who you're speaking about, Najwa, but no one can play with your iman. If you are a true believer, your belief is as strong and solid as a mountain. Nothing can shake it off. But if your iman is originally thin, weak, and can be easily affected and impacted by any Tom, Dick, or Harry, then you have a problem. My advice to you is, number one, block all such links or means that would reach you through these two individuals or whoever is messing up with your head. Number two, go back to the Quran and the Sunnah and study them and listen to the trusted scholars who would cement iman in your heart. Number three, surround yourself with righteous practicing sisters who are following the true aqeedah of the Salaf and who abide by the Sunnah and hold on to it and call people to it. And Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. We have Chengiz from Kazakhstan.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, what advice can you give me on how to teach and encourage my younger brother to practice Islam, who is 12 years old? And I came to Islam a few years ago, and my mom did 6 months ago, and only now I'm starting to give him dawah, my brother, and
Good.
he believes in Islam but does not practice anything. For example, when I tell him not to listen to music, he just avoids me.
Okay, I'll tell you, Chengiz, because we're out of time. First of all, may Allah Azza wa Jal put a lot of barakah in your da'wah for your mom and for your brother and for all those around you. Number two, you have to focus on the essentials, not the symptoms of the illness. Don't look for listening to music, smoking, watching movies. These are symptoms of the illness. Focus on the chronic illness itself. How? Focus on teaching your brother the beautiful names of Allah. Focus on teaching your brother how to love Prophet Muhammad ﷺ through his biography. Focus on taking 1 or 2 ayahs every day that speaks about Allah, the Day of Judgment, the messengers, the scriptures, the angels, the essential pillars of Iman. Little by little, this would cement Iman in his heart and it will increase him in Iman and get him closer and closer, where it will eliminate all symptoms of sins and illnesses that you are referring to, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. This is all the time we have until we meet tomorrow at 4 o'clock. I leave you في أمان الله والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.